Welcome back to the Political Pulse 2.0. Today, we're asking a question that many are starting to consider. Are we headed for a permanent GOP majority in the United States? The results from this year's elections have been nothing short of devastating for Democrats, with the loss of the presidency, the Senate, the House, and even significant shifts in state governments. What's happening? Is this a political realignment? And if so, why is it worth paying attention to? Let's start with the big picture. Across the nation, traditionally, blue strongholds are shifting red. Imagine this: New York, California, Oregon, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Illinois, states long considered Democratic strongholds, becoming Republican. Sounds far-fetched? It might not be as impossible as it seems. What's driving this? For years, these states have grappled with disproportionately high taxes, skyrocketing costs of living, and bureaucracies that stifle innovation, home ownership, and even starting a family. The electorate is waking up to these issues, and they're voting accordingly. Across the country, voters are sending a clear message: enough is enough. Let's look at some key evidence. First, the Democratic Party's once solid grip on urban and suburban voters is weakening. According to a Pew Research study, suburban voters, who were crucial for Democrats in the last decade, are increasingly moving toward Republican candidates, driven by concerns about the economy, crime, and education. Second, there's a growing class realignment. For much of the 20th century, the Democratic Party was the party of the working class. Today, that mantle is being claimed by Republicans, who are speaking more directly to economic frustrations and cultural grievances. Meanwhile, Democrats are increasingly seen as the party of elites, disconnected from the struggles of everyday Americans. Because it's reshaping the political map in ways we haven't seen in decades. States like New York and California, with their high costs and heavy regulations, are losing residents to more business-friendly states like Texas and Florida. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, California alone lost over 500,000 residents between 2020 and 2022. A trend that directly impacts political representation and electoral votes. This exodus isn't just about individuals, it's about political power. As populations shift, so does influence. States gaining residents like Texas, Florida, and Tennessee are solidifying their Republican strongholds, while states losing residents are struggling to maintain their Democratic dominance. But it's not just about geography. There's also a cultural element. Many Americans feel alienated by what they perceive as Democratic overreach, whether it's on issues like pandemic lockdowns, education, or even energy policies. Republicans, by contrast, are capitalizing on these frustrations, presenting themselves as the party of common sense and individual freedom. On the flip side, Democrats seem to be struggling to connect with voters on the ground. Instead of addressing day-to-day concerns like inflation, housing, and wages, they've often been criticized for focusing on issues that resonate more with elites than the working class. This disconnect is creating opportunities for Republicans to make inroads even in traditionally blue territories. The Democratic Party has also increasingly become tethered to a wealthy donor class whose priorities simply clash with the needs of working-class Americans. This reliance on affluent backers drives policy discussions toward issues that resonate with elite interests, like climate initiatives or corporate regulations, while sidelining bread-and-butter concerns like wages, affordable housing, and healthcare access. This disconnect has eroded the party's traditional working-class base, leaving many feeling abandoned and prompting a realignment as voters seek representation that speaks directly to their economic struggles and daily realities. If this is not addressed and addressed soon, this could spell the end for Democrats ever winning again. So, is this shift inevitable? It's too early to say if we're headed for a permanent GOP majority, but the warning signs for Democrats are clear. A failure to address economic realities, a disconnect with working-class voters, an over-reliance on cultural messaging, and their handcuffing to a wealthy donor class has left the party vulnerable. At the end of the day, American politics is dynamic. The shifts we're seeing today could just as easily swing back tomorrow. But for now, the trend is undeniable. Republicans are gaining ground, and Democrats need to take a hard look in the mirror. What do you think? Are we witnessing the start of a permanent GOP majority? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the Political Pulse 2.0 for more in-depth analysis.